Welcome to Crime Story with Camila, where we dive deep into the most chilling and mysterious true crime cases. If you love real-life crime stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you never miss an update. Your support helps us bring you the most in-depth investigations and untold stories. On the frigid evening of February 27, 2015, Moscow's political landscape was shaken to its core. Just a short distance from the Kremlin, near the Bolshoi-Moskvoretsky Bridge, Boris Nemtsov, one of Russia's most prominent opposition figures and outspoken critic of President Vladimir Putin, was ambushed. Nemtsov, a former deputy prime minister under President Boris Yeltsin and a tireless advocate for democratic reform, was walking with his companion when gunshots rang out. In a matter of seconds, the lethal attack silenced a voice that had long challenged the status quo. The chilling nature of the assassination, so close to the epicenter of Russian power, sent shockwaves both within Russia and across the international community. Questions immediately emerged. Who was behind this politically charged murder? Was it the act of a lone gunman, or a calculated move aimed at stifling dissent at the highest levels? This documentary, The Killing of Boris Nemtsov, an opposition leader silenced, seeks to uncover the layers of this tragic event, from Nemtsov's influential career and the turbulent political environment in which he operated, to the investigation that followed, and the enduring legacy of a leader who dared to defy authoritarian rule. Boris Yefimovich Nemtsov was born on October 9, 1959, in Sochi, Soviet Union, now Russia. He was raised in a highly educated family. His mother was a doctor, and his father was a civil engineer. Nemtsov studied physics at Lobachevsky State University in Nizhny Novgorod, earning a PhD in physics and mathematics. Before entering politics, he worked as a research scientist, publishing numerous academic papers. Nemtsov's transition into politics began in the late 1980s during Mikhail Gorbachev's perestroika reforms, which allowed for more political openness. His reputation as a reformist quickly grew, and in 1991, he was appointed governor of Nizhny Novgorod by Russian President Boris Yeltsin. His leadership in the region gained national attention, particularly for his pro-market economic reforms, which modernized the local economy. Yeltsin, impressed by his work, appointed him first deputy prime minister of Russia in 1997, placing him among the youngest leaders in post-Soviet Russia. Nemtsov was seen as a possible successor to Yeltsin, alongside figures like Anatoly Chubais and Sergei Kiriyenko. However, the 1998 Russian financial crisis led to political instability, and Nemtsov was dismissed from his government position. Despite this setback, he remained active in politics, becoming a leading advocate for democracy and liberal economic policies. When Vladimir Putin rose to power in 2000, Nemtsov became one of his most outspoken critics. Over the next 15 years, he accused the Kremlin of suppressing democracy and press freedom, corrupt government dealings, particularly regarding state-run companies like Gazprom, human rights violations, including the Chechen wars and crackdowns on political opponents. Nemtsov was a key leader in Russia's opposition movement and co-founded several liberal parties, including Union of Right Forces, SPS, and the People's Freedom Party, PRNAS. By the 2010s, Nemtsov focused on exposing government corruption. He published multiple investigative reports alleging massive fraud in Putin's administration. In 2014, he opposed Russia's annexation of Crimea, calling it illegal and dangerous. He also organized protests against Russia's involvement in Ukraine's Donbass region. This stance made him a significant political target. In the months leading up to his assassination, Nemtsov was preparing a new report on Russian military activities in Ukraine. He publicly expressed concerns about his safety, stating in an interview, "I'm afraid Putin will kill me." His fears tragically became reality on February 27, 2015, when he was gunned down near the Kremlin. On the evening of February 27, 2015, Boris Nemtsov, a prominent Russian opposition leader and former deputy prime minister, was assassinated in Moscow. At approximately 11:31 p.m., Nemtsov was walking across the Bolshoi-Moskvoretsky Bridge, accompanied by his partner, Ukrainian model Anna Duritskaya, when an assailant fired multiple shots from a Makarov pistol, striking Nemtsov in the head, heart, liver, and stomach. He succumbed to his injuries almost immediately. The location of the assassination, within close proximity to the Kremlin, underscored the audacity of the attack and sent shockwaves through both Russian society and the international community. In the days following the murder, Russian authorities arrested several individuals from the Northern Caucasus region. Zor Dadaev, a former officer in the Chechen police, was among those detained and charged. He initially confessed to involvement in the crime but later retracted his statement, alleging it was obtained under duress. In July 2017, Dadaev was sentenced to 20 years in prison, while 4 accomplices received sentences ranging from 11 to 19 years. The masterminds behind the assassination, however, have not been conclusively identified, leaving lingering questions about who ultimately ordered the killing. The assassination of Boris Nemtsov remains a pivotal moment in contemporary Russian history, symbolizing the perilous environment faced by opposition figures in the country. Several theories have emerged regarding the motives and perpetrators behind Nemtsov's assassination. Some observers suggested that nationalist hardliners, angered by Nemtsov's pro-Western stance and criticism of Russian policies, may have been responsible for the murder. Investigations by organizations like Bellingcat revealed that Nemtsov was under surveillance by an FSB squad prior to his assassination. This same unit was later implicated in the poisonings of other Kremlin opponents, raising suspicions about the possible involvement of state security services in Nemtsov's murder. Given Nemtsov's outspoken criticism of President Vladimir Putin and his exposure of government corruption, some analysts believe his assassination was politically motivated, intended to silence dissent and intimidate opposition figures. In August 2024, reports emerged that Tamerlan Eskarkanov, one of the individuals convicted in Nemtsov's murder, was released from prison after signing a contract to join the Russian military operation in Ukraine. This development highlights the ongoing complexities and controversies surrounding the case, as well as the Russian government's practice of recruiting prisoners for military service in exchange for clemency. Despite the official convictions, the full truth behind Boris Nemtsov's assassination remains elusive, with many believing that the individuals who orchestrated the murder have yet to be brought to justice. Boris Nemtsov's assassination on February 27, 2015, was a significant loss for Russia's opposition movement and for global democracy advocates. Despite his death, his legacy continues to shape Russian politics and inspire pro-democracy movements worldwide. Nemtsov became a martyr for democracy, representing resistance against authoritarianism in Russia. His fearless criticism of Vladimir Putin's government, corruption, and Russia's military actions in Ukraine solidified his reputation as a defender of free speech and human rights. His death intensified opposition movements, inspiring activists to continue his fight. Following his murder, a makeshift memorial appeared on the Bolshoi Moskvoretsky Bridge, near the Kremlin, where he was shot. Despite repeated attempts by authorities to remove it, activists have continuously restored and maintained the memorial, keeping Nemtsov's memory alive. Nemtsov is widely recognized outside Russia as a symbol of political bravery. In 2018, the U.S. renamed the square in front of the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C., to Boris Nemtsov Plaza in honor of his fight for democracy. European nations have also acknowledged his contributions, with streets and memorials named after him in cities like Vilnius, Prague, and Kiev. After his death, Nemtsov's daughter, Zhanna Nemtsova, founded the Boris Nemtsov Foundation for Freedom to support independent journalism, human rights, and political activism in Russia and beyond. The foundation also awards the Nemtsov Prize, recognizing individuals who courageously fight for democratic values. Even after his death, Nemtsov's political influence remains strong. His investigative reports on government corruption and Kremlin abuses continue to circulate. Figures like Alexei Navalny and other opposition leaders often cite Nemtsov's work as foundational to their fight against the Russian government. Many still believe that the true masterminds behind his assassination have not been held accountable. Every year, thousands of Russians participate in the Nemtsov March, demanding justice and honoring his legacy. His assassination remains a painful reminder of the dangers faced by political dissidents in Russia. Boris Nemtsov's legacy lives on through the activists, politicians, and journalists who continue to challenge authoritarian rule in Russia. His dedication to truth, transparency, and democracy ensures that his impact will not be forgotten, even in the face of repression. Boris Nemtsov's assassination was meant to silence him, but in reality, it only amplified his voice. His unwavering fight against corruption, dictatorship, and oppression continues to inspire those who believe in democracy, freedom, and justice. Despite the risks, many still carry on his work, exposing government abuses and pushing for political change in Russia. His memory is not just a part of history, it is a rallying cry for those who refuse to accept tyranny. As we reflect on Nemtsov's life and legacy, we must ask ourselves, what can we do to support freedom, truth, and democracy? Staying informed, supporting independent journalism, and amplifying the voices of political prisoners and activists are all ways to honor his sacrifice. The fight for justice in Russia and around the world is far from over. Boris Nemtsov's story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest times, courage and truth will always have the power to challenge oppression.
Thanks for watching. For more interesting videos, please subscribe.